25 years. I don't know what else I can say really. He's been the force behind Kick It Out. He set it up. You can make a voices everybody in this room probably knows of his work, so I think we're very proud that he's still our chair. I'm going to let him continue on.
Sisters and brothers, good evening. Great to have you all here. Rodney, I'll start off by saying thank you, and also to remind you that I was there in 1983.
Okay.
Because when Val McCullough was looking for money, and you had cash flow problems, and you couldn't get your editions out, we were there fighting and getting that dosh. So we've been around a long time, some of us, and that's very important. Because what we are about is supporting each other. Kick It Out hasn't done all the things in football that had to be done over the last 25 years. It's people who are the doers in this room, in different organisations, at grassroots, right up to elite level, where they have taken, in the spirit of what we do, the challenge and responded positively. They're the people who take the credit for what we achieve. And by we include ourselves, but it's collective. It's all about partnership, and that's why I mentioned to Rodney, the fact was, we fight for everyone who needs to be helped. Let me give you a bit of the context of 1993. There's a lot, because in 1993, trying to think where I was in 1993. I just become the chair of the Commission for Racial Equality, appointed by Ken Clarke. And the BNP got a councillor elected in Tower Hamlets. The BNP opened a bookshop in Welling. The BNP was all over football like a rash. The National Front was part of Chelsea FC. Stephen Lawrence got murdered within 4 days of me coming into office. Unemployment was 3 million plus. The IRA bombed Bishopsgate and Warrington. Good news, interest rate was 6%. Depends on whether you were paying 6% or you were getting 6%. Believe it or not, England failed to qualify for the World Cup. But a bit of good news, Harry Kane was born in 1993. And he could well be the star after 25 years. We did have an FA chair who referred to his fans, the England fans, not in 1993 but before, as scum. That tells you something about what the FA chair then. I mean, we've had another 5 since then, and fortunately we've had 2 Davids, a Bert. He was Bert, and we had Jeff, and now we got 2 Gregs. It's interesting that the previous Greg, he said the BBC was hideously white. And when he left, it was even more hideously white. And he came to the FA and he said, the FA is even more hideously white than the BBC. And I have to say, when he left, it wasn't much better. And I say that because the issue for all of us, and you will know in this room, because people in this room are committed people, it's not what you say, it's what you do. And we're about action. The people in Kick It Out dedicate themselves to doing things and getting results. But we rely on others, taking the advice, working in partnership and delivering. Football in 1993 was bloody awful. Even in the 1980s, when I went to Ken Bates, he said to me, we haven't got a problem. He said, I'll get my security people to see you off the premises. 2 big gorillas in anoraks and Doc Martens and an Alsatian saw me off the premises. That's how they dealt with football. Paul Elliott will probably tell you that. I don't know how they treated him there, but he was their captain. But that was a period when I said, because I had power, and power is critical in whatever you do, I was running a law enforcement agency, and I could threaten people with the law, as I did. I had the CBI within a week of me coming into force with Prince Charles saying, we're going to set up an organisation called Race for Opportunity and we want you to join. We've got so many of the top FTSE companies. We want you to join. I said, we support you, we won't join you, because believe you me, tomorrow we might be in court with you. And that's how I saw the FA. I thought, we're going to challenge the FA, we're going to challenge the rest of football. We're going to start off nicely and say, you've got a problem, you're going to help us solve it, or we'll help you. And there was a lot of resistance, but fortunately, Gordon Taylor and the PFA came forward, as they should, because 25% of their members were being abused on a daily basis. We were lucky we had someone like David Dean. David, welcome. I mean, if David wasn't around, there wouldn't have been Arsene Wenger. And if David wasn't around, we may not have got the support from the Premier League, as he was then, a year old. Football League, quite a few of their clubs said, you know, we can solve our own problems, push off. We also had David Davis, who helped us with the Football Association, who were also very recalcitrant. David, take a bow. So in August, 12th of August 1993, we launched Let's Kick Racism Out of Football. It was focused just on racism. We've evolved, we're in a different place now. We tackle all forms of discrimination. But we work in partnership. We're no experts on women's football, although we've got Rasheen as our director, we've got Keely, we've got a good proportion of women and different groups in our organisation. And we were about trying to educate, raise awareness. It took us a long time to get 100% buy-in, and Greg alluded to the fact that it does take a while to get people to understand what this is about. This isn't about giving preferential treatment to black and Asian and other minority people, or indeed women and disabled people. It's about creating a level playing field so that everyone can get access to the opportunities that are necessary. And we were very fortunate in launching. We had people who were already there. Fans were already on the terraces campaigning for change. We came into contact with organisations, Charlton Athletic, Sheffield United, other places where fans were already, even at Leeds, they were saying, we've been knocking on the chairman's door for the last 3-4 years about the racism, and we don't get the door open. You come along with your T-shirts and your badges and you get a cup of tea. And that was true. And our job was to help to open those doors and help them to walk through it and start to make a difference. And that's what it's all about. The partnerships which have developed right now we can talk about is the hard work being done by staff. We started off in the early days, and for a large chunk of the period in our first phase, Piara took that on and took us to a level at which we were able to command a degree of respect from all the authorities involved in football. And since then we've had Rasheen, after Piara's gone off to Europe to do a great job there, as he is, not only in Europe but the whole of world football. And Piara, I think you deserve a round of applause and thanks. But we were lucky to have people who were also campaigning in the media, people like Harry Harris, who I remember giving an award in the early 1990s for the work he was doing, the writings he was doing in the Race in the Media Award, which was an amazing contribution he was making. And of course we had ex-players, and none other than Paul Elliott. He was there from day one. And Paul can tell you about racism because he was unique in experiencing it not only in England, all parts of England, but in Scotland and in Italy. And before punditry became a thing that everyone could see themselves now in all colours on the screen, Paul was there with Italian football long before everyone else. Great stuff. Thank you, Paul. Our work fundamentally is about education. It's about reaching out to people, it's about telling them what is going on, it's about raising aspirations, it's about building trust and confidence. It's also challenging institutions, all the institutions, whether it's the LMA, all the football clubs, the Premier League, even the PFA, the FA, all of the organisations involved in football are culpable. But we try to work consensually. We offer our best advice, we provide support, we provide information, we work with fans, we work with players, we work with community organisations, we work with the media. The media is probably the one weapon we've got that we can say is the most powerful tool that we can use. Because if they can spread the word about a story, about things that are wrong, then we've got it out in the open. We can knock on doors, we can talk to people, they'll listen, give us a cup of tea. They might even invite us to a football match. But if they don't want to change, they don't change. We have no power to do anything else about that, other than if they're getting abuse in the media and criticism. And that's the point at which I'd like to say that, having mentioned the 6 chairs that I've had the opportunity of saying hello to and goodbye, Greg is here, and he's already spoken about his commitment to this, how he has been doing the walk and the talk, because both go hand in hand, but it's delivery and the outcomes. The critical thing for all of us in 25 years being here now is accountability. It's a word that Greg has mentioned in the context of what will happen during the next year in setting the targets based on the information that they've been collecting, how they're going to execute their programs, and how they're going to monitor the delivery and the achievements. What is critical is for football to come together. Fans organisations, the different leagues, the LMA, the PFA, got to come together in a coherent way to take forward this programme. It can't be you're leaving a bit to them, the Premier League are doing their own thing, people not sharing information, there's a lack of communication. If we don't have coordination, the progress will be as slow as it has been in the last 25 years. And what we've got to have is courage to do the right thing. And the right thing is, if you've got power and you make the decisions and you've got resources, you could transform your organisation to be an organisation that is truly inclusive, if you want to. The problem with institutions in this country is that they go so far, they have a bit of a splash of colour, and they think we're here, it's diversity. We've got our 30% as a sporting body now on the board. We've got diversity. And for a lot of people, there is a compromise, because whether you're the sole woman on a board, or you're the sole black or Asian on that board, you can be sucked into that culture in which you behave exactly the same way as the culture of the organisation. And the culture has to change, and the people at the top say, we ain't going to put up with this shit anymore. This organisation will change. And because I've got the power to change it, I will change it. And that has happened where people are clear about why they're doing it. They're doing it because of the benefits it brings. The benefits it brings to your organisations, the benefit it will bring to clubs in football, the benefit it brings to society. And let me give you one example as I come to concluding. The reality that we have in football is that if you look around where the success is, if you look around at the characteristics of our society, against the background of this hostile environment that Theresa May and her colleagues have created, is that young people represent that future. We've got a responsibility to pass the baton on in this struggle to the next generation. Kick It Out has a big focus, and Rashina in her closing moments will tell you about some of the things we're doing, because it's the young generation, as indeed the FA can show, with all their success with their under 17, their under 20, their under 21s. Look at the diversity, look at the women's teams, look at disabled football. This is really where we're seeing that next generation showing how diversity brings benefits, how it brings values. And the talent is there. People think the talent isn't there. If you open the door to people and say you're welcome, come forward, you'll be surprised. You will be surprised about the talent. And what we are able to show in football is where the charitable bodies associated with the football clubs, their foundations, with the support of the resources coming in from the FA and the Premier League in particular, in investing in those community programs. It's building relationships for the next generation with local communities, communities that are diverse, coming in, having a participating role within the clubs, learning about diversity, learning with and from each other in participating in the sport, in football. And the critical part of that is having that core element where you're enabling people to rub shoulders with each other. As people who wanted to highlight what happened in Windsor at the weekend, they said you wouldn't see black faces and people with other shades of black within a ceremony like that, as you have this weekend. And whilst it was wonderful, it hasn't made a damn bit of difference to the inequalities that are going to be in our institutions, the people who were sleeping on the streets last night, the people who are homeless, the people who are being detained and deported, the people who can't come back in their country even though they are British. These things are still happening and will go on happening. We've got a big fight on our hands. Finally, I thank all the people in Kick It Out, all those who've been around us for the last 25 years. People have spent a small amount of time with us. Some people have been with us for virtually all the way. But it's what people do that makes a difference. And the volunteers that Roisin and her staff have put together, the way they work and get around the country and make connections, is what makes it happen. And we've got a responsibility to infuse as many people as possible. Football has a great opportunity to be pivotal, but also be exemplary in showing the world that football actually can achieve inclusion in a way that others have to look at and copy. And that's what we want to achieve, because everybody loves playing football. The way women are pushing on successfully, and the environment and the culture of women's football is one, if men can only adopt that for themselves, I think we would go a long way to solving the problems of nastiness. Roisin, the final word's going to be for you, and I pay tribute to you for the work you've done with your staff team. You've done a fantastic job, and I think she deserves a great round of applause. Rodney, you very kindly mentioned, about being visionary and complimenting quite rightly the work done through Raise Your Game. But Troy Townsend is the guy who deserves all the credit for that. And I think, and like I said, it's not what we at Kick It Out do. We will enable, we will facilitate, we will inspire, we will enthuse, we will provide information, we provide advice, we will provide guidance. We'll come anywhere to help you to push this on. But it's what you do, it's what others do, and that's where we've got to take this. Thank you very much.